I'm Rona Munro and I wrote Little Eagles. I was asked by the RSC, they were looking for contemporary history plays. The first idea that came into my head was something to do with the space race. It was an actual part of my own life. This point of human history that we'd all thought was going to be our future, we all thought we were going to be living in the stars and that space was where we were all going, had to become history. And it's something that, nobody did anymore and no one even could do anymore. My idea was to write about the Apollo moon missions because that's what I was really aware of. But then at some point in that process I thought I should just check up on what the Soviets were up to. And at that point I discovered this whole other slew of stories that were just as incredible and just as amazing. But I didn't know them, and it's partly I think because at the time nobody knew because the Iron Curtain was up. And then when the Iron Curtain came down, space was already history, so nobody cared. So that was kind of where all my focus went. And in fact, Little Eagles is the story of the Soviet push into space. The reason why it was a compelling story is because it was supposed to be our future, and it's become our history. This is such a huge dream, and it's become a dream that no one can afford. But if you look at the amount of resources that both America and the Soviet Union threw at that dream and what they achieved, you think if we had a dream that big, if our dream was, for instance, to abolish world hunger or to cure cancer, whatever, if we chucked that kind of energy at it, clearly we could do it because it was impossible to go into space. But what you needed was a dream that was large enough to mobilise two huge nations to make it possible, and it became possible. Even with all the kind of Cold War connotations, all the military applications that were attached to the space programme, and all the kind of propaganda and bluster that was attached to it, and all the human cost of it, even set against all that, you just go, a dream that big is inspirational, and why aren't we dreaming that big? What happened to our dreams in my lifetime, really? The protagonist or the character that the play is really built around is this guy called Korolev, who was the designer of the Soviet space program. It's this extraordinary thing where you have one guy whose dream it is and who has masterminded the whole effort. Building a play around real historical people is such a double-edged sword when you're actually talking about recent history and people, some of whom are still alive. You have to kind of deal with this terrible kind of guilt and terror that you're getting it horribly wrong. I had to kind of take the Shakespearean decision. If at the end of the day this has to be a dramatic character that works as a dramatic character and trust that audiences are intelligent enough to enjoy the drama and appreciate where the drama might be overlaid on a much more complicated reality. Well, it's interesting, for a writer in rehearsals of piece of new work, I think the process for me is always the same, which is because, in a sense, no one's tried these lines before. I think the rehearsal process is about testing them. With something like Shakespeare, it works. Loads and loads of people have made it work. It's been around for hundreds of years, and these are the lines for a reason, and they work. So therefore, you just work out how to make them work for you. With a piece of new writing, one's job as a writer in rehearsal is to be there to explain how the line should work, could work, or what you were hoping for, what your intention was, so that people can attempt that. And then if it doesn't work, you need to change the line. The whole process of seeing stuff come off the page and actors kind of take possession of it is the best bit of the process for me. It's an epic historical drama. It's a tragedy. It's a big play. With this cast and with this degree of sort of energy and commitment, I think it's going to be a big, meaty, satisfying night out.